Hello, welcome back. I'm June. I repair watches as a hobby. Thanks for joining me today. On the bench, we've got an old Omega movement, one that's seen better days and is ready for a second chance. This is the Omega 410 made back in the 1950s. It's not running and it came to me without a case, just the bare movement. So I went hunting and found a vintage case that fits. Here is what I'm aiming for. A finished watch that brings this old soul back to life. Let's dive in. This isn't a traditional repair. It's more of a rebuild. When you mix parts from different sources like this, collectors call it a Frankenstein watch or just a frankenwatch. It's not something purists would go for, but for someone like me who enjoys the process and wants a beautiful, wearable piece, it's a great way to bring something old back into the world. Omega made a lot of mechanical watches in the 1950s, and many of those movements are still floating around online. They are surprisingly affordable too. This one came with the dial and hands still attached. Chances are it used to live in a solid gold case, probably melted down for its value. What's left behind is the heart of the watch, waiting for a new home. These orphaned movements are often sold as parts, but the truth is they are built to last. Omega's designs from that era were simple, sturdy, and reliable. Because they rarely break, there's not much demand for spare parts, so the price is still low. I picked this one up for about $100. It's a good deal, though the condition reflects the price. When I tried turning the wheels, nothing moved. Some parts were probably stuck, maybe from rust, or maybe just years of dust. Fortunately, it looked like mostly cosmetic issues. The critical components were still intact. They just needed a deep clean and some fresh oil. So I started disassembling every part down to the tiniest spring. As we can see, this is a simple movement. No calendar, no center seconds hand. It's built in an older style, almost like a scaled down pocket watch. It has a small second sub-dial at 6 o'clock. Actually, I wanted a wristwatch like this. That classic look was one of the things that first drew me to vintage watches. I was looking for something different, something with character. Vintage mechanical watches felt like the right choice. Each one has its own story, its own patina. And that small second hand, it felt fresh to me, even though it's old-fashioned. After some research, I realized that fully serviced vintage watches can be expensive, but the ones sold as junk are often overlooked. I also found a lot of great videos online. People sharing their repair journeys. It looked like something I could try. So I picked up a few old pocket watches to practice on. That's how it all began. Starting with pocket watches was a good decision because they are simple, so I could focus on the basics. Taking things apart, cleaning, learning how everything fits together. And before long, I was hooked. I started working on more complex watches. But somewhere along the way, I forgot about my original goal. A wristwatch with a small second hand. Now I've come full circle. This is the watch I was looking for. With everything disassembled, it's time to clean. First, I clean the parts by hand. Wheels, pivots, jewels, holes, and plates. I used to use benzene or naphtha, but now I prefer IPA. It's safer for me and works well on these parts. You can see the IPA getting dirt and collecting dust in the bowl. After that, I use an ultrasonic cleaner with a proper watch cleaning solution. It's a bit of an investment, but the results are worth it. Then I rinse everything with water and IPA. For the balance wheel and pallet fork, I still use benzene. IPA can be a little too harsh for those. It takes time, but now everything is clean and ready. Next, I reinstalled the mainspring into the barrel. This is a manual wind watch, so there is a small hook at the end of the spring that catches on the barrel wall. Unlike automatic watches, there is no need to grease the barrel wall. I hook the spring and wind it by hand. Then I add a bit of oil along the spring and lubricate the barrel hole. I've made mistakes here before, winding the spring the wrong way or not closing the lid properly. Both times it caused damage. Now I always double check that the direction of the spring and the lid is secure. Time to reassemble the movement. I lubricate the center jewel and the hole, then drop in the mainspring barrel. Next, I install the wheels. This one with the long pivot is for the small second hand. That's the third wheel. And here is the center wheel. Everything is going smoothly. I lubricate the barrel bridge before installing it. Sometimes it takes a while to align the pivots with the jewels, but this time everything dropped into place on the first try. I secure the bridges with screws. There is some discoloration and corrosion on the bridges. I couldn't remove it during cleaning. I could try polishing, but that might damage the plating. Since this isn't a display watch, I'm not too concerned. Now I'm assembling the winding mechanism. The click, the crown wheel, and the ratchet wheel. Everything needs to engage properly. Alright, so far so good. I lubricate these gels and that's it for this side for now. Now I flip the movement and work on the dial side. I lubricate the gels, install the cannon pinion, and start assembling the setting and motion works. As I was working on this, I was reminded of another watch I have worked on. the Omega 420. It's a variant of this movement, and the main difference is the second hand. The 410 has a subdial, while the 420 has a central second hand. I actually own a 420 and made a video about it last year. Feel free to check it out. It's another watch with a nice patina. Recently, I gave that watch to my father for his birthday because it was made the same year he was born. He's a DIY guy too. He enjoys vintage car restoration videos. And he's not really into watches, but he appreciated the story. A song restoring a 70-year-old watch for his father's 70th birthday. He liked it. Alright, the setting and motion works are done. Let's install the palette fork. Just aligning it carefully. Okay, that's in place. I always double and triple check this part. I have broken a few palette forks in the past. Then I lubricate the gel off camera. Installing the balance wheel is a bit tricky. The balance and hairspring both need to sit under the center wheel. It took some time. But finally, it started running. Later, I noticed the hairspring was slightly deformed. It kept good time on the desk, but on my wrist, it runs fast, like gaining a few minutes a day. I hadn't noticed during assembly. So at the time, I kept going. I lubricated the balance gels, not only on this side, but on both sides. With the movement fully assembled, it's time to bring the watch together. I reinstalled the dial. It's got some corrosion, but that's part of its story. I clean off the dust with Rodico and secure it with 2 screws. To fit the movement into the case, I remove the stem and drop it in from the top. It's a snug fit. Before installing the hands, I give them a gentle polish. They have aged well, and a little shine brings out their charm. The bezel has a notch for the stem, so I align it carefully. It's a small detail, but it makes all the difference. The original stem was badly rusted, so I replaced it with a new one, along with a fresh crown. I adjusted the length and secured the crown with a touch of Loctite. This case doesn't need a gasket, so I set the case back and closed it up. Everything fits just right. And here it is, the finished watch. I started repairing watches a few years ago, hoping to find something like this. A vintage piece with a character at a price I could manage. Now, the time has finally come. It's not perfect, but it's meaningful. I hope you enjoyed the journey and maybe feel inspired to try fixing a watch yourself. Again, thanks for watching. I've got more projects coming up, so I'll see you again soon. Until then, take care.